Hello, everyone. Welcome to uh, sessions in research methodology. In this session, we will be discussing scientific writing. And this session is actually divided into two parts. Let me share the presentation. As you can see, the first part that includes types of research papers and reading a research paper and understanding the research paper, etc. Whereas the second part, which is another lecture that we'll be discussing, structure of a research paper and other detailed discussions. So today I'll be taking the part one, that is types of research papers and reading a research paper and other related concepts. So in these two parts, these are the concepts that we are going to discuss. It is outline. We'll have an introduction in the first part. Then we will discuss the purpose of research writing, then types of research publications, then scientific format of a research paper, then reading a research paper. That is the outline of today's topic. And the next session will be basically on different sections of the research paper and basics of writing a research paper. Now, when we come to the purpose of writing a research paper, we can state it in three sentences. One is to remember, because once something is forgotten, it cannot be reproduced correctly without having written notice. So if you are not noting it down, then that information cannot be passed on to the next generation. So it is there is every possibility that you will forget that idea or concept. So you need to write it down or record for later use. And also to understand. Another purpose is to understand, since writing about a subject can only be accomplished by approaching the subject in a structured way, which itself leads to a better understanding thereof. So if you can write, that requires a better understanding of the topic, that enables you to writing. So you'll have a better understanding on the topic. And also the third point is on to gain perspective, since writing includes looking at something from different points of view. So you will be looking into that topic from different point of view and gain a better understanding so that you can write a research paper. So these are the some of the stated purposes of writing a research paper. Now the goals in research publications. Actually, you can say that the primary goal is to make complex technical information understandable. So that is the major goal of a research publication. You want to make the technical information understandable to somebody who reads that paper. Make it easy for the reader to read and extract information, or then achieve clarity, consciousness, and coherence. So such a research paper or research publication will enable the user or the reader to extract the information and achieve clarity and consciousness and coherence on the topic. So that is one of the goals. Then persuade peoples of the approach. So approach of the or the methodology of the paper that can be conveyed to the readers. Allow others to reproduce the same results. So you can convey the methodology, and also others can reproduce your results if they are performing using the same methodology. If you provide a detailed description about your methodology in the publication, others can easily replicate your results from their own experiments. That is also an important part in science, because reproducibility or replicability of the result or the evidence is of a primary concern in science. So it allows such publications with detailed not on the methodology and the approaches will enable others to replicate the results, and that means allow others to reproduce your results precisely. And of course you have to be honest on the methodology, because if you are writing something, for example, if you don't want to reproduce the results by others, then you can manipulate the methodology. So you have to be honest in the methodology, so that somebody, if you they are adopting that methodology, they need to reproduce exactly the same result. Then good technical or scientific writing is a skill that can be learned and mastered. So it's a skill. Since it's a skill, we can learn and master it. It's not an inborn ability, something like that. So take time and hard work so that you can master that technique. There is only one viable strategy for learning the craftsmanship of this writing research, and that is trial and error. You can achieve that skill only if you try, and of course there will be errors. You can rectify and improve your writing skills. Now, when we come to the types of research papers, there are various types of papers or scientific writings. One category is a symposium papers. So they are actually preliminary ideas and work in progress. So what is presented in such symposiums were preliminary ideas or incomplete works or work in progress. So they are actually presented in some symposiums. And working papers. Working papers are actually they are produced for internal circulation. So internal circulation, if you are circulating such papers in your own institute for internal use, then they are known as working papers. They contain information that is too preliminary to detail or too detailed for formal publication. Usually, you won't publish such materials in an elaborate way in a scientific publication or a paper, research paper. That will have their own formats, and you will limit the details of that technical details of that work in such research articles. So whereas such internal circulations or working papers may contain preliminary information also in detailed format, so that they can be used by others who is working in your own institute. So that is actually for internal circulation or some personal use. Then technical reports is another category, and technical reports actually they are revised versions of the thesis. So that is known as technical reports. Then conference papers is another category. Then conference papers, as you know, they provide well-developed ideas, which is presented in papers, but it is not considered equal to a scientific peer-reviewed paper. Still, a conference paper actually they are presented as well-developed ideas, and actually that work is already, it should have been completed by the time when it is presented. Now, there is a short journal articles like letters, short communications, comments, errata, notes, etc. So it is not a full-fledged paper, but they are basically letters or short communications which will have only an abstract idea about a topic. The journal or papers or research papers, they are extensively tested ideas with proper evidence, and there is extensive peer review and revision processes also involved in such a actual research papers or journal articles. Now, research reports like dissertations for obtaining degrees like MPhil or MS or PhD, etc. Then reports submitted to sponsors like funding agencies, KSUST, UGC, or DRDO, DST, CSER, etc. So they are another form of a research report, a project report. Then a report submitted to client organizations like contract research or consultancy research, something like that. So the client organization may require some kind of development R&D, and we can develop. You can work on that topic according to their client's interest, and a report can be submitted. So that they are actually reports of R&D submitted to client organizations. So there are various forms of research reports. So these are all different types of research writings that we want to understand. Now, usually, research writing requires a scientific format. The scientific format, actually, or writing in scientific format is in organizing the paper for presenting the problem considered. So, actual problem or research, the question, or that uh, idea that you want to test, that can be presented in a better way using a research format. And so modeling the solution method adopted. So a research paper in scientific format will be able to present the problem considered or the research question and the methodology that is used. That's modeling and or the methodology that is used. Then results obtained and interpretations and discussions and conclusions, etc. All these things should be properly presented in a scientific format report. And this allows the paper to be read at different levels. So the aim or objective or the original question in consideration that needs to be addressed. Then methodology that should be mentioned in the paper, scientific paper, or in scientific format. Results obtained should be presented. Interpretations and discussions should be there, and conclusion derived from that research should be mentioned in the scientific format. Okay. So when we come to the reading a research paper, you can have the quote from Edward Gibson. Let us read with method and purpose to ourselves an end to which our studies may point. The use of reading is to aid us in thinking. So if you read broadly, then you will have a better thinking ability. So which means the use of reading is to aid us in thinking. So that is a basic idea of reading a research paper. It will help you to think clearly on the concerned topic. And you have to be prepared to do a lot of reading around your topic. If you are performing a scientific research, you have to be prepared to do a lot of reading around your topic. To be a master of your topic, you need to know most of what has been written about it. Already available information should be available to you, and you should have a better understanding of that. What main ideas are, who the most important authors in the field are, and be able to differentiate credible sources from unreliable sources. So once you get a mastery on the topic by reading a lot of literature, you will have a better idea on the topic. You will have a clear-cut ideas on the diverse aspects of the topic, and you will be familiar with the most important authors or the scientist who is working on that area. You can locate the credible sources or reliable sources of literature, and also you can exclude the unreliable sources or unimportant ones or unscientific ones, which is actually populating that that literature. So once you master that topic by reading a lot of literature, you will be able to do this many things. Now there is a reading toolkit. It's published by Liburn in 2007. That's a paper. And the scientific paper requires more memory, attention, and time than a typical novel of the same length. You can simply read a novel. There's not much effort or energy expenditure in that reading activity. It's a very leisure time reading. Whereas a scientific paper, it requires more memory, attention, and energy expenditure when you compare with such a light reading materials. Good writing should therefore take into account the reader's ignorance, fatigue, short-term memory, and impatience in order to minimize their impact. If your writing or the presentation of the paper is not understandable, or if it is not good, then there is no chance that the reader will stick on to that. So they will easily skip the topic and they will go to another material. So a better way of presentation and a good writing of the scientific literature is required, because you can't ignore that the readers there should be the reader may be ignorant on the topic. So you have to keep it in mind that while writing. and there is a fatigue or short-term memory and impatience of the readers. Everything, all such factors while reading needs to be considered while writing a scientific paper, so that your if you want your article or the paper to have a maximum reach or maximum readability, then you need to take into all these things into account. Then the reading toolkit actually it involves time, memory, energy, attention, motivation, etc. All these things were required for a proper reading. And the total reading energy of a given sentence. For example, if you are reading a sentence, you are spending two types of energy. One is syntactic energy, and another one is semantic energy. Syntactic energy is basically it's based on the syntaxes or the grammars, verbs, dots and commas, etc. So the structure of the sentence. So that is actually a part of your or the construction of the sentence. So to understand that one, you require some energy. And another one is a semantic energy, which is actually related with the language and expression part. So if you are if there is a spelling mistakes and sentence or structural mistakes, that will make your reading difficult and requires more energy. So anything ambiguous or unclear results in more expenditure of syntactic energy. Spelling or light grammar mistakes, incomplete sentences or missing verbs, long sentences with long modified verbs, or grammatical structures from a foreign language applied to the English without modification. For example, you are writing the Malayalam sentence just or Tamil sentence into converting the same sentence in the same order in English. So that means the same grammatical structure of a foreign language or a local language cannot be applied as such in case of English. So if it is applied without any modification, naturally that sentence will be unreadable, and missing or erroneous punctuations. So all these things will result in difficulty or increasing difficulty of difficulty and understanding of the concerned sentence. Whereas in case of a semantic energy, or that part is if you are using unknown words or acronyms or abbreviations, which is also it's acceptable in language, but it results in increased expenditure of energy or effort in reading that sentence. And absence of context to derive a meaning, and lack of prior knowledge to understand or to aid that understanding. If the reader doesn't have that prior knowledge to understand what you are saying, and if it is not simply described with some details, then the user cannot understand the sentence. Of course, a lack of examples or visuals to make the concept clear. So overly detailed or incomplete visuals, then reader forgetful of content previously read, because by the time you the reader read your sentence, the current sentence, the previously stated paragraph may be forgotten by the reader. So if we are making it more and more tough, more and more complicated with sentences and unknown words, acronyms, abbreviations, and very hard sentences, then by the time the user understand the current sentence, he might have forgotten the previous sentences or previous ideas that is already stated. So that's one of the problems with the complicated languages or tough languages. And every abstract and very abstract sentences, that also requires more effort for understanding. Then sentences out of sync with the reader expectations. So if the reader is expecting something, and the actual sentences were not up to that mark, it is out of sync of the reader's expectation and understanding. Then also there is a difficulty in understanding your sentence. So we have the overall effort or energy that is required for understanding a sentence or a writing. It constitutes these two parts. One is the sentence structure, errors in the sentence structure and difficulty in the sentence structure. And another one is related with the language and better understanding and other descriptions or visualizations, etc. So these two components will contribute to the overall difficulty in understanding of such a scientific writing. Now, we come to the guidelines for how to read a sentence or how to read a paper. First part is you have to read critically. Critical reading involves asking appropriate questions. So if you are reading a paper, scientific paper or research paper or any material, then it should be critical reading. Critical reading involves you are or questions are raised in your mind. Appropriate questions based on your reading needs to be raised in your mind. And read creatively. That's the second idea, where reading creatively involves a harder, more positive thinking, uh, and it involves the positive thinking. That type of a creative, positive thinking needs to be there while reading. Then make notes as you read the paper. You need to make notes and you have to mark what is required or what is important. Then that needs to be marked for a future reference. After the first read through, summarize the paper in 1 or 2 sentences. So if you read the paper, then the relevant portions should be marked, and you can summarize the concerned idea in 1 or 2 sentences, so that the overall idea of the paper can be kept as an abstract or in a short description in 1 or 2 sentences. That needs to be done. And if possible, compare the paper to other works. So you can compare the paper with the other related works, so that you will get a better understanding on that topic. The reader's approach to reading an article is the next topic. So for the lack of time, most of the readers will not read the entire article, you know that. So if you are provided with an article or a book or chapter, whatever, so you will not actually go through the entire article generally because of the lack of time. And typical order in which the reader will read the article is listed there. For example, maybe if I am getting a new article, I will look into the title and authors list. So what is the title, and that will be noticed first. Then maybe I will look into the abstract and keywords. So what is the relevant area and findings? The abstract will be addressed next. Then instead of reading the reviews and introduction, that portion, I may be looking into the figures and tables and captions, etc. So what is the nature of the data that is presented? Then I will skim through the text and headings and subheadings, etc. So what are the different areas which is discussed in the paper? And finally, maybe I'll read the conclusion and different equations used, etc. The portion of the main text in more detail, that will be, and after screening all these things, if I feel that it is relevant for my research, then it will have further contribution to my idea or my topic of research, then only I will go through the major portions of the text in detail. For example, the methodology and other descriptions, etc. So that detailed reading is the final stage. So before that stage, the reader will decide whether this needs to be taken into account or not. Consequently, the writer should make sure that these elements are the top of the list, needs to be given special care. So then only you can catch the attention of the readers, and of course the readers or the acceptance of the readers and their citations is required for every paper, because the quality of the overall paper is actually determined by the citations that it gets. Okay. So now, questions to be answered while reading a paper. You can have many questions, about 9 or 10 questions that needs to be answered. So what is the research problem? The initial question that we want to address is what is the research problem? And in relation with that first question, if you are trying to understand the research problem of a paper, then what are the motivations for this work, what are the previous solutions, and why they are inadequate, and so that why you require a new work. So if there is a research problem, that research problem is based on the previous existing means because there are previous works are there, previous and based on that previous works or previous understandings, a new research problem is actually put forward. Okay, so the motivation of a work is generated from the existing understanding or the existing literature, After you know that the methodology or the workflow of the actual research involves wide reading and literature of the literature and understanding of the current knowledge. Then there is an induction process in which you raise a question or a research problem is raised based on which a hypothesis is developed, as you know that. So the research, the first understanding of a paper while we are reading is that what is the problem of the research that you are addressing, and what are the previous works in that area, and why that existing works were inadequate to explain this research question. So actually that is the motivation and objective of the work. So that needs to be better understood. The existing status of the work, of knowledge, and why it is inadequate so that it necessitates further research in that area. So that is the first question that you want to address while reading a paper. The second one is what is the proposed solution? If you have a problem, then what is the proposed solution? Why is it believed that this solution will work and better than the previous solutions? So if you are proposing a solution, there should be some supporting evidences or supporting concepts that supports this solution theoretically. So why is it believed that the solution will work better than the previous solutions that is existing? And how is the solution achieved? That is designed and interpreted, and is it at least achievable? So basically, if such a solution or method is there, then how it is to be designed, and even if you are performing that one, is it the target is achievable or not? That type of question needs to be answered next. Now, what is the work's evaluation of the proposed solution? That is when so that is a research question, there is a methodology, and what is the evaluation? So there should be results and interpretations. Okay, so what is the work's evaluation of the proposed solution? So if you have a solution or a methodology, you will have the result, and what argument, implementation, and experiment makes the case for the value of the ideas. So what benefits or problems are identified? So this type of result and interpretation, and what are the benefits of the problem were achieved using such evaluation methods or using that results needs to be addressed next. So this is actually concerned about the result part. Okay, the previous one is on methodology. This is actually based on the result part. So what are the arguments and implementations and or experiments makes the case for the value of the ideas, or what supports the ideas, or your research question or the research hypothesis needs to be supported with the work's evaluation or the results, and that is the next stage. Now, what is your analysis of identified problem, idea, and evaluation? Is it a good idea? What flaws do you perceive in your work? What are the hurdles or difficulties in your work? And what are the most interesting points that is made in the work? And what is the most controversial ideas or points that is made in the work? So, of course, if your idea is good, you can say that this is actually our experimental results support the idea. And if there is some problems in the design of the work or in the results, then what is that one that needs to be addressed? And what are the interesting findings, new findings that is generated in the work? Then what are the most controversial ideas or contradictory ideas, etc., that is obtained in the work? And for the then for the for work that has practical implications, also you also want to ask, is this really going to work, and who would want it, or who will be going to use it, and what it will take to give to them, or how you will transfer the technology or the idea into the user, and when might it become a reality. For example, you are discovering it, or you are saying that a new antibiotic is produced in your laboratory, or a peptide is antibiotic peptide is actually developed in your or discovered in your laboratory. You are saying that, and so then it is having a practical implication. You can demonstrate the antimicrobial activity, but whether it is going to be applied practically in the medical field, that is one question. Who will be going to use it? Is it transferable, or is it the technology is transferable and produced at an industrial scale? Is there any side effects? And there are a lot of other questions while before applying this technology or transferring this technology to the industry. So its stakeholders, if it is having some that technology is having some practical applications, the nature of the stakeholders needs to be considered, and the hurdles while transferring the technology needs to be considered, and adverse effects, if any, that needs to be considered, and overall the feasibility. All these things needs to be considered, because a simple scientific finding or the proving of one hypothesis or idea will not enable you to transfer that into or it will not entitle you to claim that it will have such a practical application. So the practical application or practical implication, if you are suggesting, then it should be transferable, and that method or that concern, for example, the antibiotic or the peptide that is developed needs to be developed as a drug for treatment. So if it is not possible, then there is no point in suggesting that this is an antimicrobial peptide which is having some importance. Okay, so that means there are a lot of steps that is required for making this into a real drug, and because you know uh, transferring such technology and making it a reality, it requires a lot of other steps, and all these things to be considered. Then what are the contributions? Next question is, what are the contributions? The contributions in the paper may be many and very many contributions may be in the same paper. Many and beyond the insight of the research question, a few additional possibilities, including ideas or software, experimental techniques, etc., and various other additional points may be already incorporated in that one. During the process of the experimentation, you might have come up with another ideas or another additional informations that may be included in the paper. So beyond the scope of the actual question, research question, supplementary or additional inputs may be also generated from the concerned research. So what are the contributions, actual contributions of that work? So what are the future directions for this research? Sometimes these may be identified as shortcomings or other critics in the current work. So usually a scientific paper, they will not say that this is a final word on that one. So usually every paper will suggest that there are some, if there is some shortcomings, then they will state that one. So if such alteration or such additional work is done, it will be a better one, and so that to improve this work or the result of this work, possibly you can do or further research in this line. So they will cite the shortcomings of the work, and also they may suggest some possible ideas so that they can improve the work. So most of the papers will cite such a shortcomings and solutions for, or most of them invite further work in that direction. So what is the writing style and text structure? Do the authors make a good presentation with the proper usage of English grammar? And what is the organizing principle of the text? Could it be better organized? So all these things in about the writing style needs to be addressed. So what questions are you left with? What questions would you like to raise in an open discussion of the work? So if somebody is presenting a paper, what will be the questions raised in your mind so that you can ask to that presenter? Because there are some, if you read it or you read and understand a paper correctly, maybe there are many doubts in your mind. So if somebody is presenting, then what will be the questions in your mind that will be raised so that you can openly fire it in a discussion forum? So what do you find confusing or difficult to understand in that paper? So by taking the time to list several, you will be forced to think more deeply about the work. So if you are taking more time to read this paper and list all these type of questions, then you will think more deeply on the work, so that you are actually analyzing it critically and trying to raise many questions related with that one. So it will all you will be actually forced to get a better and deep understanding about the work. Then only you can ask proper questions. So that is also there. So what is your takeaway message from this paper? Some of the main implications of the paper from your perspective, and this is useful for very quick review and refreshing your memory. It also forces you to try to identify the essence of the work. So these are various research, the questions that you want to raise while reading a paper. If you can uh, apply all these questions in while reading the paper, then certainly that reading will be the best reading. So you will get the best idea of the out of the paper. You will critically evaluate the paper, and all the questions related with that paper will be coming into your mind, and that enables you to have a better understanding on the research topic. So if you read many papers in that area, concerned area, then certainly uh, that uh, induction process in your research. For example, if you are starting a new research, and then certainly you require to generate a hypothesis based on some research question. So for which you require the identification of a research gap. So the research gap can be identified, and a research question can be generated, and a hypothesis is developed in that area only based on the current understanding or current status of the knowledge. So that is possible only by a proper review of the literature. So a proper review of the literature requires a very clear reading of available literature. So if you can go through a paper, keeping it in mind, all these things that is described, then certainly that will be a very good reading, which will enable you to have a better understanding and better identification of research gaps in that area, and generation of better research questions, or raising of better research questions that you want to solve in your research. So this is the end of the first session. Thank you.